what the theme song is for Quest for Glory 3. I can't hum it.
No, it's not very humble.
Welcome to the chat room. Ready?
No, pull the camera up a bit so that it's not quite so low. There, yeah, that's better, I think. We'll see when
Oh,
we
it
get
wasn't
it.
showing off my logo on my shirt.
Oh, it was showing off mine.
I was showing off your logo too well?
Yeah.
All right, well, shall we begin?
Try it.
Dun dun dun!
Oh, I see. Yeah, you could pull it down a little bit, but you get to see Sean this way.
Yeah, it's fine.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live stream with Corey and Lori. And today we will be playing.
We are known on Wikipedia as the Coles. How about that?
Wow, we
Not
are
exciting.
these. I have arrived. Welcome, Joseph. Yes, long time. Long time since we've talked to you.
Joseph Austin.
Yes.
Joseph the Austin.
Not just any Austin. Yes, it's the.
Back
Weird, it was saying live, but not switching over to the feed for some reason. Fixed now. Hello, Coles. Hello.
Well,
good
we had
afternoon.
it. We had it live, but on the still for a while.
Yeah, well, we did. We did do it that way.
And you can
Nice
all
and
hear
nice.
us just fine, I think.
I hope it. Yes, hope it's indeed. Hope you are all ready and happy and ready to go play a
No
game.
microphone issues this week.
What do you know? And we started practically just on time, which is another miracle. For
Oh, we should have. Actually, what we really need is that
what?
bag that's on
The bag?
shelf back there.
I see. The bag that's on the shelf. Because
Yeah,
you
which
wanted...
isn't the best example, but it's one.
All right, fine. Our souvenir.
One of our two souvenirs from our trip to Tokyo. This is Lilo and Stitch with a bit of Japanese writing on it. It's the only way you can tell it's from Tokyo.
Yes, but
and
it's
there is
got
a-
this style. I mean, it's got the wave behind it.
It is, yeah, the famous wave from it's one of the views of Mount Fuji.
Yeah.
And
So yes,
we did not go to Tokyo Disneyland, but we did go to the Disney store.
Yes. Haven't said hi in a while to you guys, but don't worry. I've just completed my yearly Quest for Glory marathon.
Oh,
Yes!
excellent. Well, good.
Very
Maybe
good.
you can tell us how to play this game, because
Yes, we'll need all the hints we can
we're a
get.
little nervous. So up for schedule today is Quest for Glory 3, Wages of War.
Yes.
This shrink-wrapped, unopened box copy. So that shows we don't know how to play it, because we didn't
Yes,
open it.
we didn't play it.
That's some dust on top.
Oh, well, what a surprise, like
Anyway,
everything else in our
That
lives.
is the
You're dusty.
subject of the stream.
Yes.
And we probably don't have our design notebook for Quest for Glory
I
3
don't think
because
so.
we loaned them all
Oh,
out.
yeah, we have
Do
a
we?
4 still, but I
A
don't
4?
see
There
a
might be a 3 in there.
If it were-
What's the blue
Mine
one?
is gone. There's a spell book.
What's the blue one?
This one?
Yeah.
Well, remember, you weren't involved, so you didn't have one.
Oh, that's it.
That is it. Oh.
Yeah, okay, so this dusty blue binder with no label is
Yeah.
actually camera. I can't see it.
Oh, well, I can see it. It's good.
Quest for Glory 3, Wages of War, where we get assigned a number to each room. Now, this is actually kind of interesting because one of the things that we learned early on in these, you'll note the room numbers are not consecutive. They, in fact, jump by 10. And the reason they jump by 10 is because you just never know when you suddenly find that, oh, there's another room needed. So Krisha's home is 280, but we threw in 285 for a Krisha and Rakesh close-up. And 400 is generic Savannah, but we decided we needed a 405 for a second generic Savannah.
Yes.
And we have a 550, a 553, and a 557 for the Savannah Combat Room, Jungle Combat Room, and so on. So you always leave room knowing that there will be last-minute changes and additions, no matter how carefully you think you've plotted out the game. And then similarly, every character
Slide
has
it
their...
a little bit over.
So
That way, yeah, there. So
Okay,
your
there we
fingers
go.
are showing, yeah.
Lion
There we
Tar
go.
Guards, I was just making sure. Aravisa and Aziza were on there.
Yeah, there you
So,
go.
or by scene, we try to have character numbers that are relatively similar to the scenes, except sometimes it just doesn't work out.
No.
And that's all just in the pre-planning. Is you you leave room for changes.
It says this plot was written in 91.
July 30, 91 is this plot summary.
And there's 2 pages.
Opening
many pages of the
cartoon,
plot?
Tarna, Wages of War plot.
4 pages. My God, who wrote this thing?
Simbani Village, and then the Jungle, and the
Jeez.
Leperman Village, and the Peace Conference, and the Lost City. The end game was 4 pages.
Wow.
So this is our game design story-wise. Lori is normally very terse. So
I'm very terse. I mean, like this thing
she usually would go with about 3/4 of a page for a story. So this was plotted out.
Well, Aziza does show up at the beginning as the intro, I believe. So therefore.
Oh yes, right. And
to
so
give
she
you-
has to have a character
Yeah.
because she talks in the opening scene.
Yes.
And
Welcome, Rodrigo.
Rodrigo
Yes.
Martin Campo, first time chatter. Nice to have you here.
Yes. The first one I played and his favorite. Good. There,
Good.
the 6th season. This was.
This game is actually one of my favorites, and the story on that is that I helped Lori do the initial design of it, and then just as we were about to start the project, they said, well, we've got this thing called the Sega Genesis CD. Was that the right timing?
One of them. I
Yeah.
don't remember which one.
I think it was that year. And you're our resident expert in porting SCI to new systems, because I did the Atari ST, and that was the core of the Macintosh and Amiga versions. And so they said, we want you to not work on your own game, but instead work on porting SCI to Sega Genesis CD. You don't say no, it's here. So I got on. I had a partner on the project who was a loaner from Denzel, not Denzel Washington, who was a loaner from Denzel Long, I think was his name, from Dynamics, which was a Sierra-owned subsidiary in Oregon, I believe. I think they were in Oregon. And Denzel came down and worked with me, and he had Denzel had done the port of Willie Beamish, a Dynamics game, to the Sega Genesis CD, so he really knew it inside out. Well, first thing I did is I put in a little safety measure is into my system code, I put in a memory checker to let me know if I was running low on memory, so we could see if there was anything to be adjusted on that. Well, about a quarter of the way through the project, unbeknownst to me, Denzel turned off the memory checker because it kept hitting and it was bothering him. And he eventually got reassigned back to Dynamics or quit or something. And I couldn't figure out why the game was exhibiting weird behavior. And so I said, acts like it's running out of memory, but I'm not getting a thing. And I looked at it, and I saw my memory check had been commented out. And said, oops, turned it back on, and sure enough, the Genesis CD did not have enough memory. The reason for that, first of all, they were a little stingy. Sega was a little stingy on memory for it. This is not the CD-ROM. The CD-ROM is fine. We're talking about system memory. But the other reason for it is that because the Genesis has a smaller color space, it had, I think you could do 64 unique colors, and there were various effects you could do on it that gave you like faded versions of the colors or brighter versions of the colors and so on. You could sort of get up to 128 colors. But I was converting King's Quest that had 256 colors in the PC and a palette that was shifted for each scene of the game. So it wasn't a constant, it wasn't like 256 colors for the whole game, it was more like thousands. And trying to fit that in that limited color space, we did a lot of real-time processing on the data to make it fit, or to make it work and look good. Well, that eats up enormous amounts of memory. You have basically every screen has like duplicate screens and so on. And as it says, just absorbing the behind-the-scenes information like a hungry sponge. Well, the Sega Genesis CD was a hungry sponge for, or our graphics system was a hungry hungry sponge for a limited amount of memory.
Suck up all that memory.
Yeah, it sucked it up. And eventually
spit it out and gave random results.
Now, what I had done from the beginning, when my very first job at Sierra was on the Atari ST conversion, is I had done it so that obviously I had to rewrite all of about a third of SCI was written in assembly language, and that's not the same on an Intel processor and a Motorola processor, so I had to rewrite all of that. But the C code could mostly keep as is, and I just did macros that I applied macros for doing memory shifts and stuff like that. And addressing was different, so I had to use macros for that. But it kept mostly the same C source code on both of them. And that's a huge time saver if you can get away with that, but it's difficult. So with Sega Genesis CD, I had done the same thing. And suddenly, once I discovered that there was this memory problem, I said basically the only way we were going to fit SCI on Sega Genesis CD is a complete rewrite for the Sega. And we didn't have the budget or the time for it. So I reluctantly told management, you've got to cancel this project. And that was about 3/4 of the way through development of Quest for Glory 3, which Lori had been off in a different part of the building working on with her team. And given that I was no longer doing this conversion, at theoretically the end of the project, maybe 90%, they brought me over to work on that. And so first thing I did was go through all of the text files for proofreading. And some other stories than that, but we've said it before. We don't need to repeat that.
Yes, well, yeah. Again, this was supposed to be Quest for Glory 4. This was supposed to be Shadows of Darkness, not
right.
Wages
So
of
Quest for
War.
Glory 3 was not initially set in Africa. It was not set in the savannah. It was to be set in Mordavia.
Yes, so we would have a 4-game series.
And 4 games altogether. 3 was interpolated because our friend Ellen Guan Beeman, who worked at Sierra at the time, said, oh, I know where your next game's going. I said, oh, really? Do tell. And she said, yes, Rakisha's story, that's so important that you have teased at Rakisha's battle with the demon prince. And you're going to be going into the savannas of Africa to follow up on that story.
Well, the other thing that was going on was there was a big gap between 1, 2, and then suddenly we were doing educational games and things like that in between, and it was pushing the game over such that there was, Quest for Glory changed names and everything else. So rather than start out these poor innocent players, i.e. you people, and throw them into the horrifying world of Shadows of Darkness, which really isn't the general mood of the whole thing, decided to give you an easy way into the series if you picked it up from the beginning, like some of you actually did.
And as 2020, after Vision, we could see that it would have been fine. You guys would have handled it. So Heroes Quest, we started in late summer 88 and released in the fall of 89. When immediately, Sierra's policy was always 2 years between story games, but Heroes Quest took them by surprise. It did really well, much better than they expected. So they said, okay, you're immediately going into Quest for Glory 2, Trial by Fire. And it was a Trial by Fire.
Yes. Every time we did a game at Sierra, everything changed just as we were getting into it. Every system that we ever tried, everything we put together was altered entirely. So there was never any, I know what I'm doing now, or at least there was the illusion for the beginning.
Yeah, we had the illusion. We thought we knew what we were doing.
Yes, and then suddenly we were starting from ground one with how the system worked and who we were working with.
So Quest for Glory 2 was done with the same technology as 1. But the rest of the company in the meantime was shifting to doing stuff in 256 colors and scanned paintings instead of drawing it on the screen. And so we had a hybrid version of the technology where they did paintings, they scanned it in, and then it had to be down colored to 16 colors instead of 256. So it was actually took much harder than actually even doing a game in 256 colors.
Now, for this version of the reality, all of the backgrounds in this thing were painted, and they were painted on, the little this size boards, square boards that you would paint on. And there was so many rooms for this, and we only had so many artists, and artists were coming and going like flies. They had to actually send out to Korea for some of those background paintings. And of course, this time we had in charge of this Andy Hoyos, the best art director, or at least the best artist in the whole group over there. And as an art director, maybe not the easiest to work with if you were an artist, because he was a perfectionist. And so therefore he would come in and do little adjustments on your painting if he didn't think you were doing it right. So
now on the programming side, I also worked for a perfectionist, Bob Heitman,
yeah.
and he occasionally drove me crazy, but he was generally right.
Yeah. So yes, there were no vector art in this one. Totally.
Yeah. So
well, except for the system uses vector art to do the areas.
Yeah. So the whole vector system originally was developed by Ken as a way that Roberta could do the Mystery House art herself. Drawing on a tablet, and then it took the. I was when we're going to do that. Yeah.
I know. I'm just looking at it.
Okay. And they pretty much kept that scheme through the early King's Quests and Quest for Glory. That basically the artist is doing a line drawing on the screen, and then doing flood fills for the colors. And sometimes the flood fill was a very tiny area, so they're really painting with brushes, but it kind of felt like paint by numbers. And then by the time we were up to the Quest for Glory 2 and King's Quest 4 and so on, 5, King's Quest 5, I guess 4 was being worked on when I started. King's Quest 5, that all those were being done with painted physical artworks that were using a top-down scanner. So they had a camera mounted on a framework.
Animation scanners.
Yeah, it was an animation scanner. Technology originally developed by Disney for their films. That the camera was on a fixed mount up above the flatbed that the painting was put on. And Disney had a fancy thing where they could move multiple layers in and out, but Sierra didn't quite go to that degree. They didn't use the cells for transparency and stuff. But what then the artist would do is they, after it was scanned in, then they went in and they touched it up on the screen.
For 2, they didn't actually paint the things. They painted them on the computer. They did have pencil sketches. They had all of the rooms were drawn in pencil, scanned in pencil, then programmed, and then painted in the computer.
I thought they scanned in the paintings.
They
still,
did not have paintings. They
Okay.
only had the pencil sketches.
Ah.
That was the problem. And then by the time it was done, you had to redo all the work anyway.
Quest for Glory 1, the backgrounds and the objects of the scene were vectors. Well, some of the objects are vectors, but most of the things, like all the characters, and if you had a pod or something, the wagon and so on, those were actually sprites.
Yes.
So they were pixel.
Yeah.
But all the backgrounds on the early Sierra games were vectors. So anyway, so we got Ken had the great idea to do educational games right after we had done Quest for Glory 2. And so we proposed a couple of them. They ended up making, I proposed Castle of Dr. Brain, Lori proposed Mixed Up Fairy Tales. And so we spent 91 working on those. And then 92, they had the idea of doing remakes of all the 16-color games in 256. So Lori spent the beginning of 92 working on Quest for Glory 1 VGA.
Yes, converting the point and click, the text parser to
into point and click.
which
And,
was a new concept of how to go about doing puzzles, which a lot of the puzzles, and one of the things that you do when you are doing a parser game is trying to figure out what word actually works to do the thing you're trying to do. So, yes.
I'll get to the voice pack in a minute. The thing with the remakes is we all said, "Oh, this will be easy." The game's already done. All they've got to do is convert it to more colors. But there was also that point and click thing, and
there was also the artists.
Yeah. So John Bach was the initial lead artist on Quest for Glory 1 VGA, and they said, well, what percentage of art do you think we can keep from the old game and just paint over versus what percentage will have to be new? And that's never phrased the question that way, because John answered, about 3/4. Everybody said, oh, good, we can keep 3/4 of the art. Well, he meant 3/4 of the art would have to be repainted.
In fact, everything was redone.
Everything ended up being repainted. So it actually cost more to make Quest for Glory 1 VGA than it did the original game.
Yes,
even though the game was already written.
By far. And so, therefore, that was the last of the remakes.
Yep. And Sierra actually said Quest for Glory 1 VGA was very profitable, but the other 3 or 4 remakes they made at the same time were not profitable. So they said, this is too scary, we're just going to make new games.
Yeah, so if it costs as much to make a remake as an original game, then we'll make original games.
And you only have a certain number of people, star programmers and artists working for the company. You can't just pull artists in from nowhere. So they can't do infinite number of projects. So they said, okay, we're better off using the resources we have to make new games. So that same year, Lori started in Quest for Glory 3, and just as I was about to start that with her, they yanked me off to Sega Genesis CD.
Since this was an off year for art, it was not a King's Quest year. Therefore, 3 had an all-star team of artists. It had the best that Sierra had to offer at that point in time.
Yeah. In years where we were the same year as King's Quest was being worked on, King's Quest got all the stars.
Yeah. So we had the A-team artists. We had probably one of the better groups of programmers. We had one genius, so we were really lucky there too.
Henry. Yeah. Henry Yu on the programming side. He sort of did the combat system amazingly, and many other great things in it. Mm-hmm. And we had Andy Hoyes as the art director. Was Ken Deshoy still there?
No, Ken was gone.
Okay, he was gone, alas. Ken would have been a superstar. So the question was,
voice pack.
was there a chance they would do a voice pack? I don't think so, given that a year later we started on Quest for Glory 4, and that was initially did not have voices.
Yeah.
So right around the time we were working Quest for Glory 4 was when Gabriel Knight in King's Quest started getting voices. And the following year, I wrote an impassioned plea to Ken and Rick Cavan and said, we were in serious trouble because Quest for Glory 4 was not ready to go out the door when it did, and it's making the company look bad. We need to do a re-release with major fixes.
And that's when we got this CD.
And they said, okay, we can do that because we'll do the CD-ROM at the same time.
And that's why we had voices.
So 3 was just a little bit too early for it. I can actually tell you the previous year, Mixed Up Fairy Tales would have heavily benefited from having voiceover because it was a game designed to teach reading for early readers, preschoolers. And having the words on the screen reinforced by a voice actor would have been a big improvement, especially if they could turn it on and off.
Yeah.
But that was a little too early for Sierra.
Yeah.
Other companies were doing it, we weren't. So here was Lori's...
It isn't my drawing.
Well, it's not her drawing.
So I couldn't figure out who it is. It's a map of the whole game.
This is Quest for Glory 3?
That is 3.
Yep.
Yeah, it's even got an 8-man, and somebody's.
Sure doesn't
It
look
looks
like it.
looks like Doug Herring's drawings. In
That's
fact,
true, it
looks
might
like
be.
Doug Herring must have been on the project at that point before he was pulled off.
I don't see a DH anywhere on it, which he normally puts on. But
Yeah, but those are
yeah, this looks like
I mean,
Douglas Herring did this
probably
And this is the map of
the progression of the game.
of Tarna of everything in Quest for Glory 3. With up in this corner is the city of Tarna. 12 rooms! Exclamation point.
Yes.
So the city was just in a corner of the map, but it's a pretty big portion of the game.
Yeah.
Room count was a critical thing. That was kind of how you determined how big a game was. And normally Sierra games shot for around 50. But I think we had a misconception and thought it was 100.
Yeah.
So we always made our games too big and then had to
Yes.
strip them down later.
We were always too big. And let's see what was else there. I was going to say something. Of course, at this time, there were other things going on. I think the reason Doug Herring didn't go further onto this is because there were a lot of problems with management,
Politics.
and I think Doug left for that point. That's why we had, Andy Hoyos got put in as art director. The influences on this game were, of course, Tarzan, because when I was growing up, I read all the Tarzan, and one of my favorite was
I
Tarzan.
think I read one.
And the Lost City, and the Jewels of Opar, and all of those things. So therefore, this was the mythos I was drawing for.
What about E. Rider Haggard? Did you read
I
it?
didn't read E. Rider.
Yeah, because that would have been appropriate too.
That would have been, yes. Yes.
Any interesting rooms stripped? I don't think anything was stripped from Quest for Glory 3, but
Yeah.
I would say that the everything in the Lost City was rushed.
Yes.
That
And looking at that original map that was drawn, I see that we virtually had the whole game plotted out and the number of areas. The one I don't see on this weird map that we showed you was the Tree of Life, and it isn't there.
and that became a major plot point.
Yes. But other than that, it's got the game. So this is one of the
Opar.
first things. Yes, Opar. Yes, we were calling Lost City Opar, and I don't think we did in the actual game.
Pepperman, Simbani Chief. Is this the
however, there is a comment over here. Aardvark Miners of Kingdom C.
Ah.
So therefore, maybe we were going to actually go to see the Aardvark Kingdom at that point, but that did not get manifest.
So we minimized. There is an aardvark. There are Easter eggs involving the aardvark miner, but you don't actually spend time with them.
Yeah.
One of the things. Oh, no, see, I lost it. Okay, so here's like preliminary design notes. 3 of 3. And we've got thief subplots, fighter subplots, because one of the things we had to do in every Quest for Glory is make sure that there was content for every character.
A balance for every character.
And that everybody had something to do and did not feel left out. In practice, the thief gets kind of short shrift in this game.
Kinda. Yes.
But he's got a few unique things to do. And of course, testing wise, the testers are trying to play every character through every scene, but it takes a long time to get through a Quest for Glory. And so sometimes some of the interactions between different scenes don't get tested properly. So like if you spend too long in the Simbani village, or you do something else before a major plot point, when does the thief interaction take place in the bazaar? All these things can affect what happens elsewhere in the game. And Lori has always had an amazing overview of each game. So she has the entire game in her mind at all times. But the people working on the game are all laser focused in on the scene that they're working on. So if I'm doing programming on you know the Libon's hut in Simbani Village, which you'll be learning more about as we play through it. That's all I'm thinking about at the time. Whereas Lori has to keep track of, okay, what have you done previously in the game? You know, do you have access? Can you open the chest here? What event are you in the hut? If the chieftain's present, obviously can't do that. You know, but maybe there's something else you need to do it. And all these things that are constantly affecting other parts of the game. Quest for Glory 2 was very nearly a disaster on release to the extent of Quest for Glory 4. And that was because Sierra tried to rush it out to meet the Christmas deadline, which is absolutely critical at Sierra. Christmas deadline means the game basically has to be in production in September. It has to be done in August, in production September, so that it can be on store shelves by Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. And if you don't hit that date, you miss the lion's share of your Christmas sales, which is the lion's share of your sales for the year. So, you know, they were rushing us along, and I had been on a trip for a long weekend, and came back, and they hadn't released it because there was a systems bug that systems programmers had to fix. And I play tested all the end games and said, wait a second, you cannot complete this game if you've become a paladin, because it sends you back to the beginning of the game for an award, you know, a special ceremony. But the programmer that did that was laser focused at the beginning of the game, didn't know that players could come back there at the end of the game. So he was not checking the trigger flag that says something different happens now. So that didn't work. The warrior had a different reason they couldn't complete the game. Thief had a third reason, and the magic is so no class could actually complete Quest for Glory 2 at the point when Sierra thought it was shipping. So
3 was only a little better when that happened. We had the same kind of thing where the paladin could not play through the game because they didn't have the correct flags, tags, you know, markers of what to do.
So you've heard about killer crunch time in games where people were just massive overwork and coming in nights and weekends and working 60, 70, 80-hour weeks. And what those are caused by is that no matter how much time you have for a game, everything happens in the last month. That there is always so much to be fixed, and you finally discover the problems you didn't know about, and everybody is you know, just crunching like mad to get everything working. And then when you're crunching like mad, you make mistakes. People are tired, they're fatigued, they're in a hurry, and pushing that aside for a second, one of the things I learned early on as a programmer is the place where I got the most bugs in my code is when I wrote a special piece of code to debug something. Those never worked. Those always took 3 or 4 tries, because when you're doing that, you're saying, oh, this is just a quickie throwaway line, you add it to the code, and you always get it wrong. So the end of a game is much like that.
The other thing that was going on was still at this time was trying to make the Sierra run like a Hollywood movie studio, and would have to do storyboards for our sequences in the game. So here is one of the pages of the storyboard from the beginning of the game, in which case we have the magic users fight against Ada Vis, which we had to review since it had been 2 years since you played the game to remember what the heck you did. So we had one for whatever character you were playing. We have one for fighter, magic user, and we have one for thief.
And of course, one of the hallmarks of Quest for Glory was that you could save your character at the end of each game and import it into the next one. And we originally naively thought that, oh, everybody's playing through the games in order. So we kept some information in the save game about what you had done. Anything that was optional. Like I think it was actually optional in Heroes Quest whether you chased Baba Yaga out of the valley or not. And so we kept track of that. And then in game 4, when Baba Yaga returns, we were going to take advantage of that. Well, we found out that there were a fair number of players that were playing the games fresh. Either they hadn't saved their character or they just chose to start fresh in game 2 or 3. So they didn't have that flag. And second, that data file got munged. Somewhere along the line, a programmer made a mistake on it, mistook a bit flag for a bit number, not the same thing, and ended up overwriting some of the data. So we didn't actually have that carried through, and we couldn't trust it anyway because we didn't know which players had started the game fresh. So what we did instead is decided what was the canon, way of playing through each game, and the canon way of playing through Heroes Quest is you chase Baba Yaga out, and she has a memory of that when you meet her in Quest for Glory 4. And whether or not you actually did that, whether you even played Quest for Glory 1, she reacts as though you did that.
Yes. Other things that are of interest while we're just going over things, we have in this manual, interestingly enough for you, Corey, is that we have I lost the page again.
Huh?
We have Laura Bow 2 Programming Style Manual created by Brian Hughes. Brian was our programmer on 2 and a great programmer, and he did a style manual for how to code for Laura Bow, and apparently we actually looked at it and things.
Maybe not used it.
Maybe not used it. It has no date on it, so
there's an ongoing fight for the last 50 or 60 years or so between programmers on, okay, if you are indenting parts of your code, do you do it with spaces or with a tab? If you're in C where curly braces to limit a block, do you say if condition curly brace all in one line, or do you say if condition and put the curly brace directly under there in the next line? And people are passionate, practically a religion, about their programming style. What you don't want to do is have multiple people working in the same code, and some of them are using spaces and some are using tabs and so on. Yes, this is the stuff of Holy Wars, says Tashtari. So Brian developed a style manual when he worked on Laura Bow 2, and we were trying to make that across all the programmers and all the games a standard.
Here is how many pages, how much time was devoted to actually storyboarding the game, and that's, I don't know.
The part she's holding up. Yeah.
They aren't actually numbered in any sequential manner, so therefore, it's hard to say how many pages it actually wound up.
Each one is a tiny frame, and of course, if they have 5 events going on in a scene, they can actually photocopy it and put the same thing.
But they couldn't. These are just pencil sketches. They literally had to do this manually.
That's true. There's 2 that look similar, and they
had to re-sketch them. Yes, so all manual.
So very, very rough sketches.
But that's part of the schedule. Suddenly, that's part of the art process.
Right.
You have to have all the time devoted to that up front, which is why it was a while before they actually started Quest for Glory 3.
So for Heroes Quest, everything was done on a just in time, on an as needed basis. I coordinated it for a while, and then as I got too busy programming, Lori took it over, or at least she did for 2. Excuse me. Once again, caught a cold in our last trip, and I'm mostly over it, but not quite. So for a given scene, Lori would write a very rough description of the scene, maybe a paragraph, and from that, an artist would paint the scene, and then while the artist was painting that scene, Lori would fill it out and have directions for what animation was needed and what the programming was supposed to do. So as soon as the scene was painted, or sometimes simultaneously, Lori would go out and instruct the animators to, here's the animation sequences that are special to the scene.
Well, actually, we had most of our animation was done separately from the art. It had its own kind of, couple of artists devoted to it.
Mhm.
And so they had a list right from the beginning, which I could have shown you from that showed what animations we needed for all of the characters and how many we could, just basically use again. Yay,
Thanks for
Tash!
subscriptions, Tashtari.
So let's see. And where did the fighter magic user thief trifecta come rather than the fighter magic user cleric? Well, the cleric is always a problematical thing. For one thing, D&D, when it originally came out, didn't actually
Did they have clerics?
They had clerics, but they are clerics.
They didn't have thieves.
They didn't have gods. They had clerics, but no gods. And
Yeah.
they didn't have...
That's why they called them clerics rather than priests,
Right.
is because they were kind of bookish people that, were more like doctors than...
they had spells, but they weren't magic users, and they were not gods. And then when they started to have that, they started to get generic clerics are all alike, regardless of what god. So there was a whole mess that would have been to actually say, yes, there is God in our game, because we had enough complaints about our games than to deal with a god system.
Anyway, we had spent years playing Dungeons & Dragons, maybe 10 years, and so we were really thoroughly into it. So we basically borrowed a lot of stuff from that and from other RPGs, tabletop RPGs.
And believe me, I've played Thieves before, so therefore, in role-playing games, I had several Thieves. So.
Yeah, so we thought that would be interesting and fun.
And it was different.
We left out the clerics because we didn't want to deal with any religious hate. Remember the whole period that Dungeons & Dragons went through where people said, oh, this is satanic, it's evil. So we said no religion in the game at all.
Right. Except that we have, mentions of gods, and there's clearly the magic of gods here and there.
And in Quest for Glory 3, religion plays a very important role, but it's not the player that is religious.
Not really religion, though, I wouldn't say. I mean,
yes. It's a mystical religion.
Mystical religion. The Lion Tars adopted the Egyptian god Sekhmet as their goddess for obvious reasons.
Because Sekhmet is a lion-headed goddess.
Yes. So therefore, these things adapt. Magic is, evolves, actually.
Anyways, I mentioned before when we were planning Heroes Quest, I was just finishing up the project of converting SCI to TRI-ST and so on, and Sierra thought of me as a systems programmer. I had 10 years of systems programming under my belt. I'm obviously skilled at that. They said, Lori is obviously a storyteller. We'll make her a game designer. But they had me off in my own thing. So therefore they assigned someone else as the lead programmer for Heroes Quest, but that person was religious. And instead of being offended at the cleric we didn't have, he was offended by the thief class. He said, you cannot have a good thief. The thieves are bad. Thieves steal things. They're rotters and they belong in prison.
Thief equals evil.
And I will not work on a game that has a player as a thief.
Yes.
And that opened the door for me to come in.
Yep. So, yes.
So.
Yes, the clerics did clerical work like typing and filing. That's, yes.
There we go. But somehow they're typing and filing. We're able to heal people.
Right.
So by the time we were up to Quest for Glory 2, we said, okay, we want to introduce another class, the Paladin, as what they refer to as a hero class. An advanced class that you have to qualify for rather than just choosing. And all through the play of Quest for Glory 2.
Thank you, Hilgram.
Thank you, Hilgram's subscriber.
Yay!
I saw Hilgram was one of the two people that was here early before we even started.
Yes.
I think Rodrigo Campo was the other.
He was on the list too.
Oh, we have a hype train starting out.
Yay!
We're at 62% on a hype train.
Yes.
So if anyone wants to donate bits or subscribe, this is a great time.
Yes, because
we'll
then you
benefits
can get the
for
train.
Everyone.
You're going to get a train go by. Yeah. Oh, that's thrilling.
And specialty emotes.
Yes. But, so, yes. And, of course, the other things that were going on there were all kinds of politics at all times. This was one of the easier ones, but we did have
3 was?
3-1 was it was the easiest for the first 3 quarters of the project, and one of the harder ones at the last quarter.
Yeah, in some senses, it was the first 256
Yes.
color game.
Yes.
Oh, we're 93% of the way. Thank you, Joseph. But Lori had just done the Quest for Glory 1 VGA, so she was familiar with the process of how the artists were scanning in paintings and all that.
You want the high.
Well, should we start the game soon? We could do that. Or almost to that point.
Yes.
And so she had figured out how point and click was going to work. One of the things you wanted to do, we've got some puzzles in the games and mysteries that players have to solve. So if there is like a lock or a code word or something in the game, we tried to make sure that we tagged or flagged when the player learned that. So if you've not gotten the password to the Thieves Guild, it doesn't matter how many times you guess, you will never guess the right answer. But once you've learned it, then it is added to your list. And this required some modifications to the conversation system and so on to be able to have conditional things in the menu.
Plus, I would do in terms of how to design a game, I would do the initial write-up that went to the artist describing what the room had to do and what it looked like. Then I rewrote that page to do all the things the programmers need. And what that didn't have in it was any dialogue, because the dialogue was done on a totally different system that we had created for us so that it could handle things like I'm writing all the dialogue. For Quest for Glory 1, dialogue was handled by, I wrote down in that initial document what they had to talk about, and any given room would be getting larger and larger. And by 2, we had the message editor, which meant that all of the messages were done in this separate program that would attach, a noun-verb combination to say where this goes in the code and what it's in relationship to. And it made it much easier for much easier for the scripts to be clean so the programmer could figure out what he needed to know to create the room, and then he didn't have to do anything because the other message editor would put it into the text and put it into the play.
So Mark Wilden was a systems programmer assigned to us in Quest for Glory 2, and Lori worked with him to get this custom message editor written. And in a sense, it's just like an Excel spreadsheet. But in another sense, it was very purpose-driven to what we were doing. Hype! Yay! Hype! No, almost hype.
Getting there.
We're at 96% with less than a minute to go on the hype train.
Yep.
Need somebody to do something like subscribe or donate bits or something to get to the hype.
If you have any bits.
And Joseph the Austin up 40.
Oh no! It's so
That's
close.
100%. We're there! Yay!
You unlocked
Hype train.
what? Unlock an emote. Wow.
Oh, what emote did we leave? Oh, we can unlock an emote by gifting a subscription.
Okay. Well, isn't that a thrill?
Joseph the Austin is now the conductor because you donated that.
Wow.
Congratulations, Joseph Tastari as conductor.
Yes.
Level 4 channel record. We're at 43%.
Unlock now. We can unlock those emotes. Those are actually pretty cool. I like the cat laughing. Can you do that one?
Oh, is that one there?
Good one. Good one.
Let's see. I don't know how it works.
It's what is it?
Maybe is it unlocked or unlock now?
It doesn't say.
It says it's unlocked.
Yes, it does. So you'd have to actually, whatever system. I wasn't about to let it fail at 96%. Yeah.
I can do a cool cat.
No, they told you what the name of the thing was.
I did.
Yeah, when you mouse
cat laughing?
over it, roll up.
It's not there anymore.
It's gone. You've lost it. We'll never know. There it is. It's
good one. Good one.
And we never actually get these things to work.
I can't see it.
No.
Okay. Good one. Is that it? No matches.
Oh well.
Chat paused due to scroll.
Oh well. Meep is the best emote. Well, it'd be better if we animated it. We really could. I mean, now that we know there's animated ones, we could probably do an animated one if we could figure it.
Well, Transo, everything that starts with :Transo will give you
Yeah,
our
that didn't
channel
work. You don't
specific.
put the colon afterwards,
Oh.
I think.
:Transo U. I can click on it.
Yeah.
And there's the U. And while I'm at it, I might as well do a unicorn. Okay, there's a U and a unicorn.
Yeah.
Together. So anything that starts with Transo is our channel.
We need the awful waffle emote.
We probably do, but I don't think there's a Lego emote. Lego. No, Ego.
No, we have to
Ego.
make them. We didn't make that.
Well, somebody else
Well,
might
somebody
have.
might have, yeah, but yeah. Yeah.
Okay, how about a pancake? Maybe there's a pancake if there's no waffles. Panic.
No.
There's a panic basket.
No, I don't think we need that.
There we go. Panic basket.
Oh, I see. It's basket on fire.
Yeah, basket on fire. So we have gotten totally derailed by that.
Yes,
So
but that's all right. We get derailed easily.
it's.
Pancakes and waffles are like tabs and spaces.
There we go. We
Okay.
like waffles better.
Yeah.
I enjoy pancakes, particularly ricotta pancakes are the best way to make them.
I think they're a pain to make. So I mean, that's what
Unlock a random emote.
Ooh.
I don't know how to do that.
I don't know.
Maybe by doing the gifting a sub,
Yeah,
but
perhaps.
I could generously
Right.
do that, but I won't. So, Quest for Glory 3. So here we are with our first full scale, other than Quest for Glory 1 VGA. All right, our second full scale 256 color game. All the art was scanned in. They had a bunch of like intern artists doing in betweens on the. So you had a top artist doing the keyframes for the animation, and then the.
I don't know how much that was going
it was
on at
still
this
country.
point, because I actually the animation was kind of a black box at this point. I knew all the artists, but I don't remember what the art.
Yeah, they were working in a different area from us.
Yeah.
They had their own rooms. The programmers had their own rooms. Like 3 or 4 on a team in a room. And we did stuff. Oh, I remember what I was saying. I was saying when we did Heroes Quest, it was all done on the fly. We had the plot down.
Yeah.
Lori and I had conceptualized. We drew the map that was in kind of concentric circles around the town, and we said it'll be more and more dangerous the farther you go out. We placed the important scenes like Zauberberg and Erasmus in one place, and Baba Yaga somewhere else, and we made sure that all the important scenes were spread out around the map.
Distributed, yes.
And we said, okay, game designed, we're done.
Yep.
And we then spent 8 months doing the rest of the actual work.
Mm-hmm. But for these games, for this game in particular, we had to have the store scheduled out ahead of time. We had to have that Hype Train success! Hype Train open!
Hooray!
Wow.
Okay, open the hype chest. Button mash emote.
Oh boy!
Okay, mouse
we
over
will
that.
share. It was a good design. It
Choo
clearly
choo.
worked. Here we are today. Yeah.
Okay, we'll send this off. This is the button mash emote.
Just what you need.
It's button mash.
You too can mash
If
it
you're
up
doing
like our combat system.
we are actually streaming on Twitch, and button mashing is a Twitch thing, so it all makes sense.
Me playing Expedition 33.
Mash, 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 mash.
Yeah, well.
So I was talking about Heroes Quest, and Heroes Quest had button mashing.
Yep.
Because unlike most Sierra games, we had character stats, we had combat.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that I had this coughing. Subtly designed combat system with attacks and slash and a
Defense
strike and dodge and block. And it turns out the correct way to do combat in Heroes Quest was hit the up arrow key as fast as you could.
Yeah. It was a button masher.
So it was button masher.
Was the optimal strategy.
Quest for
We
Glory.
weren't trying to.
And I had tried to do it, improve on that by having a cooldown. That after you hit a button, it was a fraction, half a second or so before you could hit it again. But that just felt frustrating. So for Quest for Glory 2, what I ended up doing is I kept track of how fast you mashed, and if you hit some defensive keys in among your attacks, you got credit for that, and it improved your attack chance. I don't think the damage, but at least the chance of hitting was improved if you didn't just mash the attack button.
But since it was invisible, your player can't tell.
Yeah.
It was not a great system.
But I think it worked. I thought it felt pretty good. So yeah.
I love the combat system in Hero U. It was deceptively simple. Once you threw in all these side items and positioning, it became really deep.
Yeah.
Which was what we were trying to do, is turn the whole idea of the combat into a strategy game all in itself. And
Right, because you're playing a rogue. You're not a super warrior. So you need to have some roguish advantages to be able to win a tough combat.
Well, but also we didn't want it to be it was tactical and strategic rather than point and click. It was all trying to turn it into a real puzzle, and each monster had an optimal strategy for what you could use against them, whether or not you did when you played the game.
And we spent months talking this over back and forth and
It took
drawing out
forever
scenarios
to
and
actually
so.
get this.
Yeah, just to get the concepts. The original plan was to use a initiative system where some attacks took longer than others, and so if you had a dagger, it was much faster than a sword, and you get in more attacks, but they didn't do as much damage, and that had to interweave in between the monster attacks, and eventually we decided throw it away, start over. And we went to a one attack per turn system.
Take down the golem without direct combat. Yes. I've done that with bombs.
And,
or
and that was very intentional to allow that. One of the things we did a interview for a German magazine, Adventure Treff,
early in the game.
and they said, a lot of the German players that play adventure games do not like having any combat at all in their games. So I promised them that there would be alternatives to combat, that you could actually play the game while never going to a combat, and in practice that wasn't so simple.
No, but we worked a long time.
I did have an epiphany that games like World of Warcraft, that it's basically a cycle between what you need to win the combat and what your rewards are for winning the combat. And that basically if you get rewarded a better sword, a better weapon, then you'll do better in your next combat. I said, but if you're never fighting a combat, then the sword's just an ornamental thing and you don't care. So we heavily loaded most of the treasure behind things, most of the treasure that affected combat behind things that required combat to get to it. And the cutesy items and the vanity items we had in, chests you could just open by lockpicking or whatever.
Yep.
The panda items in particular were an inside joke between Lori and me.
Well, they were initially, but they were pretty funny, and when we could show them on your character sheet. And
wished we could show them on Sean, but that was too much work.
Yes, it would have required totally redesigning Sean, and we were not ready to redo that for the fourth time.
Anyway, so Heroes Quest was largely invented as we went. We had the basics of it, but most of the design work was done while we were building the game. Quest for Glory 2, Sierra insisted we had to have a complete storyboard of the entire game before we started.
Yep.
And that meant it was really thoroughly plotted out. There were still details to be worked out real time. And Lori still did her just-in-time schedules, but they got more complicated.
3, same. 4, we did not do a storyboard for 4. We did a storyboard for some of the sequences, but not the whole thing.
So the process, evolved each game. So, Quest for Glory 3.
Yeah, we were gonna play that
We're
game.
going to play that. I've got a camera over here. No, it's not a camera.
That's not a camera.
Shared
World of
camera.
Warcraft.
Desktop. Oh, that was when you and I were playing on different computers and sharing a camera.
Ah, okay.
So I have this. We played Old Skies and Crimson Diamond earlier, so they're still up in my...
Yeah, and Rosewater. We played Rosewater.
Yep.
We really recommend
Oh,
you
there. Quest for Glory
check
1.
those games out.
So I can just go back. So it's been March since Quest for Glory 1 to 5? Okay.
Probably.
The collection. Play it.
Play the collection.
Play the collection. Then we want Quest for Glory 3, Wages of War, launch. Now, we did save our character at the end of the 2 playthrough. I'm not sure if we can find that or not.
Kathy Rain is great. Oh, good. I was thinking that if we were still doing random games, I would have looked at Kathy Rain. And there's one, a detective game.
So that's kind of nice. It started out with orchestral music, reminiscent of the first games, and then they go into the African drum style to say that that's the kind of game this is. We need instructions. We might.
No,
I might. Technical info.
we do not want that.
Something else. Enough already.
Volume is up very high.
Okay. We will get to that when we start playing. Let's see if we can import a character.
You'll have to find your character, Corey.
These are the, that is not the right directory. Alright, I think we'll cancel this. We'll start from scratch.
Just a cool
Play game. Create character.
Yes.
Who do we want to be? Did we work this out? We decided the chief got a little bit short. Make a magic user's coolest.
Anyway, hello! I've been to the RPG Limit Break once again, where I did not show off Quest for Glory, but I did show off the NES port of King's Quest V. I got to hear John Rhys Davies say, you know,
I will be.
please insert your
I will be
character.
Trismegistus, which is one of the nicknames for Merlin. And
Okay.
we will.
Why don't we just call him Triss for short?
Because that's not as exciting. Triss.
Uh-huh.
All right, fine. The woman always wins, by the way.
Brad the Chad. Ah, okay.
Okay. Community honor. We don't care about any of that stuff. Vitality is pretty important. You like to stay alive while you're doing stuff. And I got 10 points left.
Yeah.
Luck, magic, intelligence.
You got the magic and the intelligence up there.
I'll do some luck.
Okay.
So luck is one of those ill-defined stats that comes into play with every dice roll the game makes. Okay, I still don't know if I can get to any of the... I think I have to get through this whole thing now. I'm sorry. I can...
You can turn down those speakers.
turn my speakers to half and get back to DOSBox. And
Meanwhile, you know, Ottavies is doing his thing, so therefore I think
I think we're going to be tiny now, so...
I think we have to restart the game. You could click the X button up there. That
Close
way,
it?
Yeah, close it then.
Well, then we still will be loud.
Well, I know, but it's...
Maybe not as loud.
All right. NES King's Quest V is fascinating. We
Yep,
talked
I just
about...
lost all those stats I put in.
That's okay.
Do you know how much of my time you've wasted?
Curry,
Yeah,
we're talking here.
go ahead.
All right, David TKI says, Corey, I think you talked before of the difficulty of porting SCI to Genesis. The NES King's Quest V is a very faithful reproduction of the game, but when you spend enough time, it's obvious it's not running in SCI. Yes, Alt-Enter, Joseph says.
Alt-Enter does not work when you've got a cutscene with dialogue going
Can
on.
you do it here? Can you use
Oh no, it's just for making this
Can
full
you
screen or
use-
not full screen. I was, Alright, we won't get any luck this time.
We'll just get vitality.
Yeah.
I thank you, Rakesh and my prince, for answering my summons. I have information for both of you.
We need to click.
As you know, 3 months ago in Rasir, an evil Adavis attempted to unleash the Jinn of Bliss in order to rule the world. Adavis stood before his hexagram, preparing to unleash the foul Iblis to do his bidding.
Hear me, O dark powers! Light the darkness and bind Iblis to me forever. Not so fast.
You entered the room and broke the seal of Sunlia Amon by moving the candle.
You idiot, you have destroyed my spell. Now you shall be destroyed.
Your spell of reversal protected you from his spells.
Competing against the sound.
Unfortunately, Adavis also had a spell to
Again,
deflect
louder.
spells.
Just louder. Say it.
I just said it. I don't need.
I
they can
can't
read
hear
into it.
I can't hear you, so they can't hear you. No! No! Master, help me!
Bounced your spell off the wall and into the flaming brazier, knocking Adavis to his doom below. Yay! When Adavis died, his magical power was released, and I could sense the moment of his death. Such a release of power could be felt by skilled magic users all over the world.
And Joseph comments, finally Quest for Glory 3 with voice acting, and one of the actors even played Magda for a few lines in Quest for Glory 4.
You know, really, it's an
The
experience.
lines that got missed.
Yeah. Still, there is some mystery concerning the death of Adavis. It is very disturbing that the body of Adavis could not be found. Even with all my magic, I cannot determine who or what removed the body or what became of it afterwards.
Probably just Jacqueline.
I believe the unbinding of Adavis's power could well have other darker results. Now we are again in my house in Shapir. Hero, you have become the Prince of Shapir by order of the Sultan, Harun al-Rashid. May he live forever. Rakesh now desires to return to his home in Tarna. Last night I received this message from the sorceress Krisha in Tarna. Please tell Rakesh that he must return quickly to Tarna. There is serious talk of war here, and I think only Rakesh can now bring peace. I believe there is more to this war than just the anger of two tribes. I believe that a demon has again broken through this land and seeks to destroy us all. In 3 days, a magical portal will open in Shapir to take Rakesh back to Tarna. I suggest that if you, Prince of Shapir, wish to truly be a hero, you should accompany Rakesh. If there is indeed a demon, it is probable that it was released into this world by the death of Adavis. We must stop it and send it back to its own world.
There's a Palace of the Sultan of Shapir, 3 days later. It greatly grieves me to say farewell to such fine friends and honored guests. Rakesh, you were a great aid to me, and I sorrow to see you return to Tarna. O great Sultan, it has been an honor to serve you. Uhura, warrior of the Simbani, you have been a most excellent guildmaster for the Adventurers Guild and a gifted instructor of combat. Thank you for your services to Shapir.
I leave Shapir with great treasure, my son Simba. I never forget this place, but it will be good to go home again.
My son, it breaks my heart to see you leave. You will always have a home here in Shapir. So you never really need more than 2 voice actors on a game. My gift for your leaving comes from the gnome. Keep on laughing. I asked him for something you would find useful. May it serve you well. Ooh, big hug. Sultan, the magical portal to Tarna appears. Farewell, all of you. May you find the peace you seek. And Tashtari asked, oh, great Sultan, what happened to you speaking in poetry all the
He
time?
only speaks in poetry when he can make all these things ahead of time. And when he's playing Omar.
That's true. He's not in his Omar guise here, so it would be inappropriate to speak in poetry. They all come through an Ankh, and somebody said, oh, did you steal that from Ottawa? It is good to see you again, Grisha. And the answer is no, we didn't.
It is good to be with you again, Rakesh.
What kind of emotion was that? Grisha, you have met Uhura of the Simbani village before. This is her son, Simba. But the kid is not my son.
Abari, warrior. It is good to see you again, Uhura. That son of yours looks like a healthy and strong young cub. Mizori Krisha, thank you for helping me to return. Simba and I need to be getting back to my people. Kwaherini. Kwaheri, warrior Uhura.
Farewell, Uhura. So we had complaints about this. This is the young hero about whom Aziza spoke with you. He is the adopted Prince of Shapir, and a most honorable man.
I am most honored to meet you, Prince of Shapir.
That's a male character, isn't it?
That's her! That's
That's her?
Grisha!
Oh,
She has no mane.
all right.
I can sense that you are also skilled with magic. Know, however, that the usage of magic is forbidden upon the streets of Tarna in order to protect those without magic.
Okay, and we can look around and such, and maybe we can get to a menu. Yay. Finally, settings.
And you can...
Volume level. Quieter.
Yay, there we go. Yes.
Okay, so, as I was saying, we had some complaints about that opening dialogue because Laurie was trying to put accents into the words, not any voice acting. And someone complained that all of the African characters were speaking in dialect, and that the other characters were speaking in straight, unornamented English, and that clearly this was, saying that these guys are primitive and don't speak proper English, and insulting to them. And, well, we never got that, but oh well.
No, I actually had to write back and explain how Uhura and her people speak with a dialect, which is just the way, they pronounce things and how they speak. And that if you go to the Leopard Men, which is another African tribe, they speak with more, traditional English dialect. And so it was just a way to differentiate and make sure that it felt like you were in a strange place with strange customs, and these people had their own way of doing things. They were not generic cut white people with brown faces or anything. Yes.
So OSU Brainiac, while we were doing all that, said hilariously, I gave my characters my full name back in Quest for Glory 1 EGA. Quest for Glory 1 VGA just barely wouldn't fit it, one character short. But it's hilarious importing any of these into Quest for Glory 5, which had much smaller inherent name size. Import names stretch so far to the right out of the box.
Oh, yeah.
This is also a problem with the boxes that we have around your text, and you translate it to German, which is notoriously very long words. And all of a sudden, the German translation doesn't fit in the box that the English versions fit in. And so we had to have custom code to allow the box to stretch and shrink, and sometimes it filled up the entire screen and so on. Ideally, in a case like that, you would split the message into two parts, but the game really wasn't designed to do that.
Yes. Huh. I wish I could remember what I first named my hero. Probably just Joseph. Then I read the strategy guide, and he was Devon for like 5 playthroughs.
Which drove me crazy.
Yeah.
Just not because I mind having a standard name for the character, but Devon feels English. It doesn't feel German.
Yeah.
So if they'd call it Hans or something,
Yeah.
Ulrich, that would have been a great name for a German character. But Devon, just not right for the game.
As you know, as you were directly there and not suffering from amnesia. And Dragon Lancer says, "What's your favorite Easter egg or reference in this game?"
This one had a lot of Easter eggs.
Yes, but they weren't like the previous ones.
They weren't
The
just
ones
throwaways.
in 1 and 2, the Easter eggs you find in that were all programmer generated Easter eggs or artist generated Easter eggs, and we didn't know about them until after the game was out. Honestly,
So Sinclair from the TV show Dinosaurs shows up in the
remake.
VGA, the remake of Quest for Glory 2, courtesy of Richard Aronson. We didn't find out about it until afterwards.
no, he showed it off.
Oh, he showed it off.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, he was proud of it.
Yes.
And we'd never seen dinosaurs.
Yeah,
We said, okay, fine.
Yeah. Because, after all, some of our references, like to the Persian golfer and that, are going to go over the heads of people nowadays who had no clue what that was.
Yeah, because the Gulf War was going on in the Persian Gulf at the time. And so there was a Persian golfer playing golf in the desert sands.
So, but for 3, and since everything had to be done up front, there was no improvisation in the course of this.
Except for the Awful Waffle
that was
Walker.
the only one that got improvised. So all of the other random ones, like the Laurel and Hardy Easter egg and the
Sanford and Sons.
well, those weren't even Easter eggs.
Yeah, that was just...
They were characters.
It was a basis for the character. So what Lori does with her character generation up front is she thinks about films that she really liked and particular actors. And so might say, this would be really cool if Humphrey Bogart had played this character. And so while she's writing the dialogue, she has this voice of Humphrey Bogart in her head reading out those lines. And that's how she keeps the accents consistent even when it's just text.
And so, yes, in the case of all of the Easter eggs, most of them were all created by me originally up front. And then the one that wasn't was the Awful Waffle Walker. That was originally created because
Sorry.
our animator, Mark Hudgens, was working at night and
Far too many hours.
far too many hours, and he was having to do all the animations for our main character. And in the scripts of Sierra, all characters that are the main character are called Ego. And while he was doing an Ego Walker, he misread it and said it was an Ego Walker. And so then he made it.
So he decided, of course, he had to draw an Eggo Waffle walking.
Yes, since he got that drawing in there, it was hilarious to see it. That's when I wrote it into the script. So that's, an Easter egg that we
And Lori even
embraced.
decided it should have a purpose,
Yes.
which is if your characters run low on food, is when the Eggo Walker would show up, the Waffle Walker, and you could kill it and eat it, so you wouldn't be out of food for a while.
Yep. So it had a purpose, and it was funny because it just was, something that did spontaneously get generated for the game. Yes. Hero, you just can't walk in and make fetch happen. Well, you can in retrospect when you see it with somebody else telling, the story, yes.
Well, as you asked, I wonder if the intro limitations are why some people still think it's impossible to complete Quest Story 2 without becoming a wizard for that character class.
Uh-huh.
Well, let's find out.
Find
Let's go test that. I will save the game.
out. Okay.
And this is going to be delete. I have, no, I don't want to delete a game. I want to overwrite it. I think we decided Control-C erases it, still does. Those games are in there because 2 years ago or so, we played through this game. and it is us. Still remembers our save games. But this is going to be the Wizard Start.
Hello, Phantom Beaver. And Brainiac says, well, I don't indulge in it since I'm a completionist. I very much like how you can technically complete Quest for Glory 2 as a magic user and not a wizard just because Addy doesn't do the transformation spell unless you have reversal.
Oh, really?
Okay.
So if you didn't learn reversal, do thieves get a prestige class? Well, we designed it so that instead of the paladin being a prestige class for warriors, it was just the prestige class. And in theory, a fighter or a magic user or a thief can become a paladin.
And I think, consider chief their prestige class. I think that's fun. But you really don't get to play as that, although you can become a pally if you're careful, and you get to become chief thief at the end of Quest for Glory 5. So therefore, you do become a prestige class. You just don't get to take advantage of it.
OSU thinks that I said in the previous stream that the rogue from Hero U would be the proper prestige class for thief.
Yes, and as for the, I used to have that booklet right here. As for the sayings and things, well, for Uhura and her tribe people, that was the Simbani all spoke Swahili, and I had a little, whole the Lonely Planet guides to Swahili. But for the people that actually live in the city and that they're speaking Arabic, and for that I had an old Arabic dictionary that was written in the 40s, and it was the one that had, my camel has, run from the Wally, fallen from the Wally, and it had wonderful phrases, and I don't know if we still have that book, but it was...
The mook has fallen off the camel.
Yeah, okay, the mook has fallen off the camel. It had great things like that, and so, yeah. All right.
So, I'm going to restart this game.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Maybe I should make it full size first.
I think you should.
So we think, was it Control Enter or Alt Enter? Alt Enter?
There we go.
Something worked. Okay, we're going to restart the game.
Why are we restarting it?
Because we're not going to play it as a magic user.
Oh, okay.
Play game.
What are we
Create
playing?
character. We'll be a warrior.
Okay. And the reason for that?
Is to see what they changed in Ottavisa's theme.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Let's go. Be strong and stupid. We'll put everything into strength.
No vitality? Doesn't matter.
All
We're
right,
not
fine.
coming back.
Doesn't matter. We're not going to play it.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Is he the mook or is the thief the mook?
Mm-hmm.
He's a mook.
All right.
And I'm going to click through this. Do I skip the introduction?
No, because we want to see Ottavis. All right.
Okay, here we go.
The thief has the most different one. So, he's Savan, preparing to unleash the fall of bliss to do his bidding.
Hear me, O dark powers, light the darkness and bind a bliss to me forever.
There, we run in.
And this clumsy mook runs into the room and trips over a candle.
Wow.
That's what it looked like.
It sure did.
You entered the room.
And broke the seal.
You idiot!
Yes.
You destroyed my spell. Now you shall be destroyed. You shall be destroyed. And he does a fire circle. Fool, you cannot hurt me now, and I shall send thee to thy death. And Old English, makes it sound medieval. Ah!
Wow!
The warrior just ran right through the ring of fire. No, master, help me!
Well, that was dramatic.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope.
And he passed through the raging flames and sent Ottavis falling to his doom. All right, that was good.
So, that's why you don't have to be a magic user to the previous game, because you get a different opening if you were a warrior.
All right, let's do the thief opening now that we've clicked through. Yes, click. That Sean poster is hilarious. It looks like he's going to behead you. Yes, it does. It looks more like a sword than that dagger, the way he's wielding it. And I will admit, as impressive as I find Tarna, the second class status of pretty much everyone who isn't a Liontar is certainly grading, which is obviously the whole point of the thing. Yes, indeed, it is grading.
That's one of the subtle things in game design is you're trying to get through the feel of really being there. I didn't have the thing up on the screen the entire time I did that playthrough.
You didn't?
No.
Did you not see that? We couldn't
Nobody
see
saw it. We'll do it again.
Oh, sorry about
We'll
that.
do a thief, though, first. Okay, let me get
We
to...
scroll down to the bottom of the
Yeah, while we're at
thing is
it.
we were not scrolled down, so we couldn't hear you complaining. Yes. My question is not meant in the context of dialect being inappropriate. I'm genuinely curious if you did research into the different cultures and languages played, a role into themes and visuals in the game, and they did.
And the answer is yes.
Spent a lot of time reading about the Swahili and trying to get as many of their customs and their ways of thinking about things.
We abandoned most of our library when we moved down to Oceanside, but when we were up in the mountains, we had entire shelves of research books for each game.
Speaking of like big to media, I noticed someone playing Police Quest VGA with one of the characters jokingly referring to a pair of arrestees as Laurel and Hardy, and Laurel and Hardy actually appear in Quest.
Oh, no, they don't. No. Characters that have a striking resemblance to
yes.
Laurel and Hardy purely by coincidence without violating any copyrights or trademarks.
Yes, because at that point people started trademarking people's characters because suddenly computers could do that. Yes.
Kashtari, you tell about the things you have done so far in Tarna. Krisha.
There are many more experiences for you to discover here, I am sure.
Rakesh, when you explore the bazaar, do not forget to visit the money changer. Krisha.
Maybe you could go visit the money changer like right now.
Good idea.
All right. That waffle saved my game because I saved in a place I couldn't get out of. Oh boy!
We tried not to have dead ends, but they're inevitable.
See it. Not that
no
many
game,
of
no
us
video,
need to see what's going on. Yes.
Yes, you do.
Yes.
Well, welcome to the bottom of the chat. Thank you.
Yay! Fine. About time.
Sorry, we were scrolled up.
Yes, we were good at this. Yes. Okay, now try this again.
No, first I go to desktop.
Okay. Fine.
Then I go to that.
Very good.
Okay, then I use either Control Enter or Alt Enter. I forget which. Alt Enter.
You'll eventually remember this.
It's Alt Enter. We're doing a thief.
Thief.
Rolly fingers.
Jester was the last name.
Jester was our last thief.
Yeah,
okay, fine.
Put it all in agility. Don't worry about it because we're killing him off shortly.
Can you do like shift and get 10 at a time? Nope. Tediously click through 50 times. Sigh. Boring game.
Start. Click. There you are. You're sneaking.
Sneaking along, having crossed a tightrope to get there.
And you're preparing to unleash the fall of Bliss to do his bidding, and you're hiding in the corner. Yes.
Yeah, but don't change your voice because...
You're also not in the same perspective if you...
Yeah, we were coming in through the door the previous two times.
Yeah.
Hair, real dark powers, etc. Blind to bliss.
Yeah. Oh!
He throws a knife at a candle.
And moves the candle out of the way, pissing off the...
You idiot! I already said this. You shall be destructified. Oh! He cast a spell and you had to duck, which we discovered the timing is really tight on that.
Yes.
And I think I died 5 times. So.
Yes. And then you throw a dagger and get one. Yeah. There was an interesting yell there.
The scream?
Yeah.
That was a good scream.
Yeah.
You threw your last dagger at Atavis and he fell to his doom.
Okay, so that was that one.
Skip the introduction, yes.
Alright, so now you're going to go back as soon as you can.
Now I'll go back and do the fighter again since I screwed up.
Yes,
that isn't it.
Yeah, good aim from the thief, yes. Yeah,
well, you've been building it up the whole game. Restart.
No! Who did I miss? So, at any rate, the thief flashback is pretty accurate except for the part where all 6 of the candles of them before you dagger hits one of them. Well, also, in the actual game, you're seeing this from the entirely different perspective, and it looks totally different.
Yes.
Last, right. Hero flips one of the 3 dozen still hidden on his person. Exactly.
Well, of course, if you're a prepared thief, you do carry many daggers. But I, of course, often ended up playing the games and forgot to buy a dagger and threw my dagger and discovered I didn't have one.
All right, your name.
I forget what my name was as a fighter.
Mook.
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 It was the Mook.
Mookie.
Mookie's fine.
Okay, Mookie.
Mookie.
Yep, too late.
Making Mookie.
I'm going to make a smart fighter.
Okay, good.
I don't actually have to allocate all the
You
points.
do not start. Yes, yeah.
Do you want to use them? Nope.
All right, click, click, click.
2 months ago in Rossier, we do have a time frame for the crossover between the games.
Yes.
That people would
For the-
frequently ask us how much
Yes,
time
okay.
he's preparing to unleash the Foul Iblis.
And for you people that haven't played it for a while, I didn't remember it looking like this in the real game, so this is really interesting to see.
Hero runs in and trips over a candle
And broke the seal of Suleiman.
by accidentally moving a candle. You idiot! You tripped over my candle!
No take
And then-
candle. No take candle.
World of Warcraft thing.
Cool.
So he does a Circle Fire, a spell that the hero has never learned through all the
No.
games.
Well,
That's
then
pretty
again,
cool.
Ottavis is, really very powerful after all.
So basically, he is protected because he's in a Circle Fire and forgets that the fighter hero knows no pain.
Yes.
You pass through the raging flames and sent Ottavis falling to his doom. Much like the solution to Colossal Cave Adventure and the Dragon. You do the impossible because you're so tough, you just do it. Ottavis died. His magical
All
powers
right,
released.
yeah. Click. All right. Can I just say, Scarine Lengths from Quest for Glory 2 still makes me laugh to this day. Well, it's a great word,
I don't know who came up with that.
but it worked really well. And I will say that I did like the weapon differentiation in Quest for
And I'm
Glory
just going to
5.
let this sound play over and over. That's the portal.
Though the fact that the fighter lost the battle axe if you found in shadows was kind of sad. Oh well.
You found Battle Axe in the shadows?
Uh-huh. And the
Oh, that's-
fighter ending in 2 is so epic, though the best parts occur before the final scene. Okay, was this is this consistent with the battle and the fighters win in 5? Because in 2.
2?
Because I don't remember it. All right, restart and get magic user back.
No, restore.
Restore.
Yeah, we don't want to play the whole thing again.
Okay.
Because that was not off screen.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so here we have this cute couple. Oop. I always get the interface wrong. Your friend Rakesh is a powerful-looking lion tor. He walks with a limp because of his injured leg from the Battle of the Demon Prince. Krisha is a wise-looking female lion tor. She wears the headdress of a master magician. You look all around the room. You're in Krisha's magic workroom. Here she studies, concocts magical formulas, and performs rituals to perfect her art and to help the people of Tarna. Locked away in her house because out on the streets you're not allowed to use magic. Anything else strange?
And I believe the fighter intro here is mostly accurate. Okay, fine. That's good to know.
I think you... Krisha sometimes uses this high stool to reach a few higher shelves. It saves a few magic points. She doesn't have to cast Levitate.
Yeah. Or fetch.
And now you can look at yourself. My, Treese, you're looking heroic today. Talk on myself. Greet. You greet Krisha.
You will always be welcome in our house, young hero.
Just not right now. Ask about Lion-Taurs.
We Liontars are a proud race, sometimes too proud for our own good. Most Liontars live in the eastern section of the city, away from humans.
Where humans are forbidden.
I have chosen to live in the western section with the humans. There is much a part of Tarna as our people.
She's a liberal.
Yes. One thing we wanted to make sure also is this sense of justice and injustice is that you should feel in the in this game that things are not right. This isn't a perfect universe, and things are really, not working out as well as they should.
Yeah, so, they're set in their ways. And their ways are work for them, but they're not necessarily optimal. Ask about the eastern section.
Yes. Oh, it's not very exciting. You really aren't missing anything.
This is about the eastern section.
Yes, go ahead.
Except for the Paladin Sword Shop, the local branch of WIT, the Adventurers Guild, the Hot Spring.
Before Krisha places her elbow firmly in his ribs.
Oof!
Yes. Sort of like Quest for Glory 2 being bad for women. Yeah, well, this is the whole thing, is to actually give you make the player feel like, indignant at what's going on, that these things aren't right, and that they could use a hero or somebody to change them.
And of course, a game that is largely written by a woman. She's, kind of aware of the history of
and this
way
just
things were.
extends it completely to, humans versus non-humans, which, of course, the whole point of this whole game, its whole premise boils down to stranger in a strange land. You are the only white, blonde character in this game, and you need to learn the cultures. You need to learn how to deal with other people,
How to fit in.
Other cultures, and how to fit in. And it's all about what you do to get along here.
Anything else you want to know, stranger?
Yeah, I see.
So this was actually our plan, and the reason we delayed Shadows of Darkness is Shadows of Darkness is designed for all the people to be totally paranoid because of stuff that's gone on, and you come in here completely out of place, and they don't like you. You're a stranger, they don't trust you, and you have to earn their trust over time. And we felt that was just a little hard on, that for players to role play that and to accept that they would not be automatically loved because they're obviously the hero.
Yeah.
So that was another reason why we AAA'd this game, and
Yeah, and it was also to balance out the whole series. And I really once we came up with the idea of doing this, it was really, to my mind, a critical part of it.
And of course, Helen was right. Yeah.
This gives you backstory. It gives you progression of hero. Is that, if we went from 2, where you're Prince of Shapir and that sort of thing, and threw you into 4, where suddenly you're the outsider, nobody trusts or likes you, it's not a very fun transition, and you never got to feel like you really were a hero. Whereas this game lets you start to feel like, yeah, I am a hero, people. See me, I proved it. Yes.
So Rakesh is kind of the old Ben Kenobi of Quest for Glory 2.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan. It makes sense. You want to know more about him. Or you could, of course, just have him die on the 3rd attack in a lightsaber duel.
Yeah.
The really neat thing about the Quest for Glory 4 experience is that it makes your chief heroics and subsequent animation all that much more.
Ah.
I see. But that's in the future. We're only on 3.
Yeah, and people complain about a harem being present in a game that takes place in an area that is inspired directly after a region of the world that is the place where harems exist. Not too many people.
Not too many complaints about that.
Well, they complained about the pentagram. They complained about Baba Yaga. They complained this one that we were, using as the wrong dialect for Uhura. And that we were, obviously racist.
Although, to be totally fair, the harem was my idea.
But also, I read all the books on harems. I actually researched what was going on in them. And of course... our game showed none of it.
And, yeah, it wasn't all sex.
It was all about...
the relationships between the women.
It was the position of what women were put into. And that whole subservient, you're a slave thing. But really, the whole point of the harem was for fun. And to have that arcade experience of trying to sneak through. And that's the real reason why there is the harem in the game.
But it's also my theory of finding where people's problems are and making the puzzles of the game, you helping them solve their problems.
Mm-hmm.
And having a woman who was about to go into the harem and didn't want to. Mm-hmm. She wasn't actually going to the harem. She was getting married off to Cubby. But never mind that. Mm-hmm. That was someone you could help, and that would become a plot point.
Right.
Let's ask Rakesh about the Lion Taurus.
Yeah.
It was a wife's viewpoint. The Liontars have ruled Tarna for as long as we have existed. Most Liontars have little to do with humans, although that is changing. This talk of war is in some ways a good sign, for it means that the Liontars begin to accept that the Symbani are our allies and friends. Well, if you read the dialogue in order, you would have learned about the...
Rakesh, you have been away a long time. There are several members of the Council of Judgment who also respect humans. There are also those who call for war's sake.
Because wars are always good for the incumbents.
Wars are good for... Why did anyone complain about Baba Yaga? Ah! Well, Baba Yaga was complained about because it was a stereotype of a wicked witch. And so therefore it was promoting the thing that witches are evil.
And ugly and have warts in their noses.
Yes, and had to...
Which we got pretty much out of Disney.
Yeah, well, we got out of the Wizard of Oz. But honestly, I said that, for one thing, we had been, involved in the Wiccas with Wiccans and things like that. So I wasn't
many friends who were
who are modern day witches, consider themselves to be witches. So therefore, I wasn't trying to promote that. I called her an ogress, and really, she's not an ogress or a witch. She is
she's really a demigoddess.
Yeah, but what's the term for that? She is a personification of, all of these things. There's a term for what she is.
She's a puzzle point in fairy tales.
Yes. She's simply Baba Yaga. Yes. Yeah.
Let's ask about this war.
Get your magical mythologies right, complainers. Yep.
The leader of the Symbani.
Came to Tarna to ask us to ally with the Symbani against the Leopard Men. The Council of Judgment decided to investigate this talk of war.
It is most unusual for the Council of Judgment to become involved with the affairs of humans.
The Council of Judgment decided to send a peace mission into the jungle to speak with the Leopard Men. It was ambushed at night, and only one human survived to speak of it. Rakesh Rishaka was the leader of this peace mission.
Is she dead then?
I do not know. My magic tells me nothing. I do not think so, but that may be only the wishes of a mother's heart rather than true knowledge.
Forgive our rudeness, my friend, but Rashika is our daughter. Rishaka. Krisha, let us speak more of this later. Talk to me, actually.
You have to click it off.
Say goodbye. Oh.
Say goodbye. I will say no more.
And get it enough already. Say goodbye. You say goodbye.
Farewell, Prince of Shapir.
We'll see you later, my friend.
Yes. I think Quest for Glory is a pretty progressive game. You can't make
I think the exit's over here and is not obvious.
Yes, I know. Yes.
One of the things we fought for in the early games was to make sure that blocked off areas were obvious, exits and entrance were obvious.
I have reserved a room in your name at the nearby inn. I can see you are eager to explore the city. Farewell, Prince of Shapir.
Farewell, my friend. In 2 days I will stand before the Council of Judgment and speak of peace. I would like you to be there as well. Then we can journey together to Symbani Village. In the meantime, explore and enjoy Tarna. If you have any questions, you will find us here. Enter freely. You will be welcome at any time.
Well, almost any time. After all, Rakesh and I need to spend some... to speak with one another again after such a long party. Good day. And there we have part of the city.
Nope.
All right. Let's see. I presume Krisha and Rakesh have more kids than Rishaka and Chakra, given lion pride and litter size in real life. Well, the problem is once you become intelligent and things like that, you only have one cub at a time, effectively. With all of these humanoid creatures, once you're starting to evolve into the human frame and things like that, You cannot, you develop cubs that are, a little bit heavy on the head and things like that. They don't have litters, they have children. So, yeah. Yeah, translation, here's $20. Go to the movies. Yes, exactly.
I think they only have one daughter, do they? They have a... Oh, no, they have
No,
a son.
They have a son and a daughter, yeah.
Yep. But the daughter is missing, presumed dead.
Yes. I don't know where Chakra is at this point. But, yeah, I don't
At some point in the
remember.
script, Krisha's full name is given as Krisha Mar Asha, which means Krisha, mother of Asha, and therefore
You'd think that there was an Asha,
it must be important.
but I forgot what Mar meant. Oh well. Everyday people probably lacked contraceptives, but I believe-
Sending Rakesh off to a different city is a pretty good form of contraception.
Perhaps so. Perhaps so. That
Or
is,
maybe not. Okay, maybe she's still having cubs, and Rakesh has some questions for her.
no.
I need to step away.
Okay. Yes. When we get to
My cup is empty. I'm out of cough drops.
yes, when we get to actually seeing Calb in the thing, Calb's and his son is of course Calvin, who is in the Summer Days games, and we'll see more of him as we go along too. Chakra is mentioned in one of the dialogue trees. I'm sure he is, but yes. I think he's already... Oh, yeah, he probably is in Silmari at this point. Because after all, it's not addressed in here, but again, male lions, liontars do not practice magic. Again, it's this what is custom, what is acceptable, and these people are working against, stereotypes in all cases. Found this reference in the transcript. I am the only user of magic who lives in Tarna. Our son Chakra, who knows magic, but has journeyed north to become a wizard. Chakra was always fascinated by the magical arts. He was the first male of our species to become a magic user. He studies magic now in Sumaria. Thank you. That's the reference that we will not hunt down now. But yeah, that makes sense. Yes, he is there now. And so that's where that's going to go. So yeah, all of these, the Kata and the Liontars, all of the intelligent humanoid crosses will only have one child at a time. They may have multiple children, but it's generally one or two at the most. Not a litter. They don't litter, and so therefore, it's a child that gets raised by parents and is, cared for long term. And that changes the whole thing too. All of these creatures that are humanoids came because of the great, effectively a point where these portals from other worlds opened up and spread magic through this world, and it caused mutations and things like that, and all of the humanoid creatures that were crossed with animals. And so that's the theory there. Lion litters aren't that large in real life, honestly. Average is 2.5 to 3, yes. And they don't generally mostly survive anyway, but that's again, the problem with real life. You have to have more children than will survive. Cause
Yeah, my parents had 2.5 children.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was the
0.5.
0.5.
Yes. Pride sizes, however, those run the gamut from 3 to over 3 dozen. Yes. And they are probably mostly family members that have all stayed together. They're all kind of related in a pride. Okay. Let us continue to play, as we explore this city with Liontars.
It's a little pixelated.
Well, it is a little pixelated, yes. It always
Okay.
a little bit pixelated. We have come to the upper part of the city.
Unintentionally.
Yeah.
It sort of moved us.
2/3.
A daytime guard for the King's Chamber. There's a huge stone statue of a man with a lion-like head. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
A flame. You have a nice view of the city below you. But of course you can't see it because you don't have the ability to turn around in this.
No.
Let us talk to this guard. Ask about door.
It is not my duty to answer the questions of humans.
Well, then I'll just go in. None may enter unless requested to do so. Without us talking to you. Say goodbye.
Farewell, human.
No, at least they were that polite.
One of them was.
The other one? Oh, we should have tried to go in his door. Sign below the eye reads magic. Is that Grisha's house?
Yeah, that's Krisha's house. That's where you came from. What does that one read?
It says apothecary. The middle plateau of Tarnay to the west and below. You can see the tents of the bazaar and the river rolling past the savannah. To the east and above, you can see the huge statues standing over the city. Ah, Salim, somebody says. Who's Salim? There's a person. He looks worried and harassed. Well, let's ask him what he's harassed about. He's too distracted to speak with me. Did we figure out what did this say it was? No, we just got a description of the plateaus. Maybe we can't go in there.
Let's see, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Didn't say so.
I know it didn't. I don't know where
These doors lead to the welcome inn. Well, let's go and see if we can get some things to help Rakesh and Krisha not to have any more children.
I see.
Oh, hi! You must be the Prince of Shapir people are talking about. Wow, I've never met a real prince before. Welcome to my apothecary, Prince. Say hello. You say hello to the apothecary. Oh, hey, good to see you, man. I had a D&D character that was a druid who was a crystal druid who was all into mystical crystals and stuff like that, and I spoke with an accent like that, and the DM was not pleased. He attributed it as being a druggie and drug culture, and he had bad experiences with
This
a
guy's
relative.
trip. No, he just supplies one if you bring him in a tin box.
Let's see. I'll go figure out some things to ask her, say, or something. Name? My name is Salim Nafs. That means healthy soul in Arabic. In numerology, I'm an 8. I'm also a Libra. What any of those things saying? No one's usually listening. Ask about Libra. Numerology. Numerology is the science of numbers. Letters of my name add up to 8, which is a very well-rounded number and very auspicious. Libra, you know, it's a scale. That means I'm a well-balanced individual. What's your sign? That was, of course, a big 60s thing is, hello there. What's your sign? If you click it yourself, you can tell me your sign. You can read this.
This is the place to purchase pills and potions. I call it Salim's Holistic Health and Happiness Eclectic Energy Emporium, and you can call it an apothecary.
This is, of course, an acronym for
Yes.
This is what you say after you've used it long enough times.
Yes, I carry crystals and promote peace and pyramid power. How may I help you, sir?
Tell about Shapir. Tell about your adventures in Shapir.
You know, I have dreams about a desert land like that. They're so real. It's like, wow, man.
Make a purchase.
Hey, this money's funny here. You need to take a trip to the money changer downstairs to get some of Tara's cash before you can buy something here.
Oh, okay. Money changers. Help! Why, I'm happy to say whatever you need.
Contribute to your physical and psychic well-being. I can see by your aura that you are a hero, so I'll sell you the things heroes need.
Yeah, let's do a goodbye, because obviously,
Live long and prosper. Have a splendiferous day.
we could have looked around at all the things. They're interesting.
All right, I will give Salim credit. He seems a bit more legit than the astrologer, but I think Harik was definitely the more professional apothecary. Yes, I would go with that. Salim is what he is. He is a true believer. He believes in crystals. He believes in herbs. He believes in astrology, and so therefore he's just very good at believing. But in the midst of all that, he actually can make, reasonable potions and things. First time chat. Renegade C says, I played Quest for Glory 3 the most before as my favorite. Wow. Well, great. Welcome to the group. Yes. I liked him and 5. He literally married a tree woman. Yes. Yes. Exactly. And Brainiac says, crystals and pyramid power here, and I believe homeopathy in Quest for Glory 5. The advantage is it being in a world of magic where, these things actually do work.
See anybody that looks like a mage teacher here?
No, I don't. Lively, an active salesman, but not quite to the active salesman of Sam or whatever his name was. Although he's got similar broad.
Oh, I see we're in need of a new weapon. I have one just right for you. Here is the finest of daggers. It too is made of Damascus steel. It too is sharper than a serpent's tooth. It is small enough to be concealed up your sleeve to be ready when your foe least expects it.
Have without a doubt the best weapons for sale in all of Tarna. If you will be needing a weapon, I am the man you should see. Come, take a look and buy what you can. Harik's prices were a lot lower. Well, it's tough here. This is in the middle of
get to my inventory.
That's a box. That's your inventory.
Oh, there we go. We have some money. 200 dinars. Simple money pouch contains all the money you have with you. We have a can of Spim.
Well, click on it and see what they say about things.
Rations, 20. Each weighs 20 quarks. Well, not exactly your choice from a gourmet meal. These Spim special portion instant meal rations do last a long time. Will keep you from starving to death. Oh, we do use daggers. I was thinking we were a warrior, but we don't. We're a magic user. Mm-hmm. Long dagger is suitable for close-in fighting. It is not balanced properly for throwing. Water skin. Another water skin. A gift weighs 30 crack. This is a gift received from Keepon, the magic shop owner in Shapir. And a note from Shima weighing 2 quarks. Reads to Shala in Shima's flowing calligraphy. Before you left Shapir, Shima asked you to give this to the Kata in Tarna. Well, let us open up this package.
We literally opened it.
Ah! That old Keepon, what a joker, you say to yourself.
Probably with more language than that.
Perhaps so. Well, the package is gone.
No, but there is.
But we have the remains of the wrapping paper. Wrapping paper is all that remains to keep on Laughing's gift. He certainly has a strange idea of humor. Let us interact with the wrapping paper. Certainly an interesting wrapping paper design. In fact, as you look at it more carefully, you realize that a spell is written on it. You read the spell and the paper disappears. You now know the juggling light spell. And if we're legal to use magic, I could practice it here.
I learned how to pronounce dinar and centime only a couple of years ago. The whole thing has been diner and centimes. Cent times, yes. I have a thing for Slavic Goth games. Well, everybody has a thing for Slavic Goth games, I mean, all of that thing is great. And here we are on the screen of one of the best-known glitches in the series. Okay, well, you'll have to tell us that. For those who don't know, normally after you fail a bargain attempt on the screen, it's blocked from happening again unless you leave the screen and return, resetting at that point. On this first screen of the bazaar only, you can just start talking to a different vendor, and the bargaining options will re-unlock, but with the previous price reduction still in place. So you could bargain everything on the screen to 1 royal or common each. Cool.
Oh my.
Now, yeah, that was a bone of contention, let me tell you, that whole bargaining system.
Oh, yes. We had a little problems with the programmer over that.
Exactly. Because I had a way of how I thought it should be done.
And the programmer said, that's too hard.
Yes.
And I said, really? I can do it in 10 lines of code.
And you did.
And then he went over our head to the producer and said, Corey's changing my work.
But mostly she said, well, it caused a bug here.
Yes. Said the program, he didn't think about the subtle balance of the game, that you can't just bargain like that. And so he scripted out.
No, Corey's bullying me. Yes, exactly.
Exactly. You enter the north end of the bazaar and witness a dispute. What are you doing? That is not right. Oop. I missed a line of dialogue. I was trying to click on him. Run after him, clearly. How do you run? Run. Fruit, the finest of the fruit. I don't care about that. I care about the man who's running away. Please accompany us to the Hall of Judgment.
Oh, we didn't do anything.
You're led by the guard to the Hall of Judgment to attend to the judgment of the thief. Oh, I could have cast a spell at him, but that would be illegal.
The Council of Judgment has determined that you, Harami, have broken the laws of Tarna by taking things belonging to others. You have shown yourself to be without honor. Do you have anything to say before you are named honorless?
Who cares? Hey, big deal.
Then by the judgment of the Council and the laws of Tarna, you, Harami, are now formally named honorless. So you have acted, so you shall be. The honorless one must leave the hall.
Hey, they didn't even ask for my testimony.
The Council of Judgment now summons the Prince of Shapir.
Oh, that's interesting. Walked off screen there and back on.
The Prince of Shapir aided my guards in the capture of the honorless one. The Council of Judgment commends the Prince of Shapir's action on behalf of Tarna and thanks him. King Raja orders Rakesh and the Prince of Shapir to meet with him in his chambers immediately.
Immediately? You may
Oh
enter.
no! It's a raid from El Pollo Diablo Lives!
Oh no! El Pollo Diablo Lives! Well, we're missing dialogue.
Oh, sometimes I...
Raja Satarna, I stand before you. We were immediately taken into the king.
Rakesh Satarna, we'll raid with you a minute and...
We'll tell you about the raid in a minute.
Yes.
Oh, I missed a line of dialogue because you told me to click through.
I did not tell
You
you.
did. You gestured like this. It meant click through.
I was talking to the people. Alright, fine.
Missed the dialogue. Rakesh, you brought along this Princess Shapir to help you bring peace? How can a human be of such service to a Liontar? So, human, how do you propose to help Rakesh? Krisha is the magic user of this land. Do you think you can out-enchant her?
So, now you'll have to talk. But you don't
Answer-
have to talk. We can go
Answer
deal with the
Oh, because now we're on a...
release the prisoners! Welcome raid! Welcome raid!
Oh, happy raiders! El Pollo Diablo?
Yes, Billy!
I like how just everyone in here understands the Pollo Diablo reference immediately. Chicken Diablo? Chicken Demon? Chicken Devil?
Okay.
Sí, he dejado en libertad los prisioneros y ahora vengo por ti. Hope nobody writes anything obscene in Spanish. I'll probably just read it without understanding it.
Yeah, right, because
And we can't scroll back up.
we can't scroll back up. No, because we can't. Yes. Alright. Welcome, though. Welcome to our...
No hablo español.
Yes, we're in the middle of playing Quest for Glory 3, Wages of War.
We have studied Espanol in high school. And earlier than that for you?
Actually, I did 1 year of 1 semester of it in college.
Oh, okay. But
So, yeah.
yes, I started in junior high and in high school.
What class are we playing right now? We
We are a wizard, a magic user.
Yes.
Don't worry, Corey, it's the line from Monkey Island.
Okay, fine. I'm glad you remembered it. A person of culture, I see. Yes.
And I promptly, of course, forgot all my Espanol, but we did visit Guadalajara in last Christmas.
Yes.
In December, and saw the Christmas festivals going on and stuff, so pretty cool.
Answer.
But I'd better answer Raja, because I could talk about Shapir, but you'd better, he's a king, you'd better answer his question. You answer Raja's question. Very well. So, this Prince of Shapir has come to bring peace and harmony to Tarna? You grow too old, Rakeesh, if you must depend upon a human for help. Your age has made you cowardly and taken away your honor. Not very nice. It's brothers.
Yeah, what do you
Going.
say?
Defend Rakeesh. You defend Rakeesh's bravery and honor. You need a human to speak up for you now, Rakeesh? I do not need to defend myself to you, of all people, Raja. Rakeesh, you of anyone should be demanding war instead of talking about peace. Rishaka is lost. Your own daughter has been killed by the leopard men. Do you not want revenge? The truth of what has happened to Rishaka has not been determined. When I know for certain about Rishaka, I will deal with the matter myself. I do not need all of Tarna to suffer the horrors of war for my daughter. Revenge for the sake of revenge is pointless. Mindless revenge is pure stupidity. He really is a Jedi Master. Rakeesh, you! Human, do you have anything important to add to this conversation? Maybe. Talk about Shapir. That is an interesting tale for a human to tell. Human, you may relieve our presence now. I wish to speak further to Rakeesh.
My father speaks Arabic and Swahili, and he respects the use of these languages in 2 and 3. We definitely wanted to give the verisimilitude feeling when you go into these things, that you really are immersed into part of the real world.
And therefore, she bought an Arabic dictionary, Arabic English dictionary, and a Swahili English dictionary.
Yes, therefore.
And chose selected words from it.
Yes, to give the feel. To give you an essence of stranger in the strange land, that you were really in this world. And, okay. Alright. Also, I love the Moncala mini game in this, yes.
Whatever the king's name is.
We wanted to, Raja.
Didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
Oh, actually, he is a Raja, so Rami and Raja. With an H?
Made sure to mention the Switch's Clubhouse games when it was released, and its first game was Moncala.
Oh, good.
I particularly like how the older Liontar soldiers understand Rakeesh and his abdication better than the younger generation, so that's interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, like...
Well, younger Liontar generations are by nature hot-headed, and that has to be kind of worked out of them through life experience. As they get older, they start to understand that, oh yeah, fighting all the time, people die, and it could be me.
Yeah. Immediately set my mind to Quest for Glory 3. Yeah.
Let's talk to this other guard. You just have to slowly, pixelatedly walk over there.
Good run, you know. You don't have to pixelatedly. Alright.
I just clicked on him. Name. I have been named Tabaka Simresh. No, he's more ask about guard. Our duty is to ensure only those summoned may pass through the doors. I've been summoned. Say goodbye. Very well, human. Alright, you think I should race? I can remember how. Race. Well, the character looks pretty good on this small screen that we have on our monitor here, but not so much in the big screen. Okay, we didn't manage to change our money, though.
No, you didn't.
Should I go to the inn, or should I go down there?
You need money, eventually.
And I was trying to figure out how to get the time of day.
How about that?
Hourglass.
Hourglass?
It's day one, and it's still afternoon, so we got time. No need to get to the inn yet. Except, you know, the problem is that sometimes somebody makes you a reservation at the inn.
Sorry to raid and dash, but I have to get going. Well, thanks for showing up.
Thanks for coming.
I appreciate you showing up. And we will not be going for much longer.
They figured out we're not playing Diablo.
It was nice meeting you, too. Well, we are glad to have you. Come join us again next.
We do this every 2 weeks on Saturdays.
Same time.
Always at 2 p.m.
Yes.
Like Amenhotep for the mummy. Uh-oh. Fruit seller tries to sell fruit. Elderly but distinguished-looking man. Hey, you.
I did run up missing the money-changing thing. I found it fun to break the game.
Narak Saeed, Effendi, good day. I am the money changer, Dahab Khalis. Do you wish to exchange some foreign coin for the money of Tarna? Sure. Do you keep part of it in exchange, like the money changer in the previous city?
Of course.
Say yes. You have dinars 200. So normally you would have to go to your inventory and click the bag on them. But here we have a conversation system where you can click the talk icon on yourself. And we started using that in the previous game but didn't use it much. It's much more heavily in here. Let us exchange to royals. I don't know if I actually changed it all. Let's see, did I? Enough already. Do. In my money bag, we have royals 180. Yep, we did lose 20 royals in the exchange.
Oh well. I did wind up missing the gun. Getting super wealthy in the previous episode, like one. Okay. You could actually run up to the money changer right after Harami runs away and change your money before the Council of Judgment begins. Yes, but then you don't get counted as a hero. The money changer is a little bit less exploitive than Dinarzad. Stop him, thief, walks up. Oh, you guys are done, right? Probably because he can't get away with nearly as much, huh? Yes.
Note from Sheba. So we need to find that Kata, but should we, we could, let's talk to the guy who looks like Amenhotep.
He doesn't look much like
Jumbo Wada. Make purchase. Quality leather work. I read that as Cathar work, but it's leather work. Water skin or zebra skin?
The cat who literally looks like a real cat in this one. Ah, okay. We should find that real cat then. They're based off of sand cats, really, was the whole point of it.
So the directions of this are not entirely obvious where you're going to go. What's this guy doing? Guy looks like quite a character. Okay, well, it's not very informative. I normally would assume if I look at a person that it would tell me, oh, this guy looks kind of like a cat. A cat-like creature known as a Kata for the land of Shapir. Which merchant do you want to talk to? Greetings, Effendi. May I interest you in my carvings of wood? We can show him the gift instead. Oh no, we need to ask his name.
I don't think it was until I read the strategy guide that I found out you could kick the fruit bowl over and trip Harami up. Oh, I didn't remember that, you know.
Ah, Kata. I am Shala, a Kata from the land of Shapir. And this says, note from Shiva to Shala. Well, let's go try giving him to that. Pick up the note. Say okay, and click it on him. Thank you for your kindness in bringing me this note from my Aunt Shima. Turns out all the Katas are probably related.
Not all of them, but all the ones you've met in these games so far.
It is so sad to be so far from Shapir and those which I care. It's just as deserty.
Yeah, this at least is, not like where we were.
There's much talk of war around here. I do not understand. Why go to war and kill one another and live in peace and harmony?
You're supposed to be reading it, but
I know, but I can't.
It's 4:30 anyway.
It is about time to end. It is 4:15.
Oh, I misread it. Okay, fine. The hint book claims a thief can do the fruit throwing. Can catas canonically purr? So most cats can. I mean, most of the things can in the cat family purr. So they probably can.
So greet and say goodbye for everyone. May your path lead you to happiness, my friend. And of course, the real purpose of this, there must always be a reward. We have solved 16 puzzle points so far.
We have communication.
Our communication skills gone up to 125, and our honor has gone up to 58. So we've done communicative things and honorable things. But
a new catalog.
we've not used any of our skills. One looks attractive, but she has a haughty expression. Hiya. Good day,
Good day,
Effendi.
Effendi. I am most well, thank you, Effendi.
Got any rumors?
Forgive me, Effendi, but I do not listen to gossip, nor do I spread it. Farewell, Effendi. You could talk to Kalb up there.
Where's Calb?
Right in the middle of the screen, up above.
It's Calb?
That's Kalb.
Oh, I didn't recognize him.
I know, I didn't either until... Yes.
This creature is some sort of humanoid canine. His clothes are neat and clean, if a bit hairy. But his unfortunate tendency to drool a bit as he pants.
Good day, master. How may this worthless son of a dog serve you? Perhaps you would like some meat? May I serve you some meat, please?
It's a bit like Anubis.
It is. It was designed to look a little like Anubis.
Great. Do you greet me?
Hello, 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 oh master, hello.
Let's buy some meat. Meat rations, 27 coppers. Want to bargain for them?
Of course we want to bargain for.
I can offer up 20.
Oh, goody. If the good master offers a price, I will accept it. I am the most lucky cow in the world. You could
Purchase.
Oh, most magnificent, magnanimous, munificent, beneficent, malevolent, non-violent, ultra-violent, ultra-liberal lover of small furry animals. Thank you so much. May your meat never molder or crawl with disgusting, creepy maggots. You won't regret this. I thank you.
Monsieur Brainiac says, how does Calb stay in business? Well, he basically collects roadkill and abandoned fish and sells it.
Is he just subsidized in my lionocracy? Yes, he does get this thing cheap. That is the thing. Pay for it and put it away in your pack. Just put some raw meat in your pack.
No, thanks.
Yes.
Got enough.
The Dog in Quest for Glory 5. Yes, Wolfie, the actor that basically just went with Apu's personality impersonations from Simpsons. Actually, it wasn't Apu's impersonations from The Simpsons he was going with. He was going the guy.
The drummers 10 comments.
Oh, very good. He went with the guy from Short Circuit because that's how I was writing him. And yes, he pulled it. I don't think Apu. I mean, I don't think the Simpsons. They may have been around, but they weren't as that.
Short Circuit is kind of hilarious if done in film.
Yes, it was Short Circuit had that voice. Had the way to speak that I just pulled for this because I loved the way he talked in non sequiturs and things like that. So that's where Wolfie came from.
I think this way over here, fresh fish, Effendi, fresh out of the river. Not all like Calb's. See the river to the east of Bazaar to the north and south. To the west, you can see the walls of Tarna above the tents.
Inja would have been another great glory. Yes, it would have been, and it was definitely on the list of things to go where Wolfie's family was back there.
These guys are kind of interesting. Ask about merchandise. Just look around. If you ever seen such quality-used items gathered anywhere, everyone is a guaranteed anachronism.
Pop, don't you mean antique?
I know what I mean. You keep out of this. As I was saying, these are all real antiques. They won't be able to buy anywhere else, so get them here.
Yes. And that is, of course, our Sanford and Son reference.
Which I had never seen Sanford
Yes,
and
he
Son,
never
but Lori
saw.
had.
Yes.
All right, let's get over to
Yeah,
the
it makes
endless.
sense to the
Of course, we have many now, and we could get those pills, but never mind that.
More antique than you two references, yes. Yeah, well. Exactly.
Again. All right, managed to walk in the door, finally.
Habari Buana, Marek Said Effendi. Welcome to the Welcome Inn, son of a sultan. I am known as the Welcome Woman. Krisha, the Mother of Magic, has a room for you here. It is the first door on the right after you go up the stairs. I hope it will serve you well. I must return to work now, but if you would like a meal, just take a seat at one of the tables.
Most of them are already taken.
I know.
Oh, it's a clown.
It is.
It's a silly clown from Trial by Fire. Looks like he's from North Fricana. You see a woman wearing colorful clothing. See a young woman wearing nice clothes. She says, "Ba Fimtish."
Who is the cameo on the right? I can't tell if there is right because your picture is covering him. I don't think there's any cameos in this one other than the silly clowns are always on.
Hello.
Hello, Hair of Sunshine. What may I do for you?
Flirt? You always flirt with the welcome woman.
You will melt my heart with such talk. You of the talented tongue. Are you as skilled in deeds as in words?
We could tell about Shapir.
Yes, you could.
You tell the welcome woman about your adventures in Shapir.
You are indeed a hero, seeker of peace.
How do I order food? Ask about restaurant?
Like all good inns, this one has a very good restaurant. We serve meals from dawn until midnight. Many who live in the city dine with us.
How do I order food?
You tried that
Order
first.
meal.
You order a meal. I will bring your meal right out. If the guy
feel
with a
very
large
welcome.
amount of food in him, I think the game says it's Oliver Brailsford, which of course was
That could be,
the joke, because he could
Oliver
eat.
Brailsford, of course, being the lead programmer.
Yeah. Here is your feast. May it please you.
This food looks strange, but smells delicious. You pay the welcome woman.
Be welcome, and may you enjoy it.
What? It wasn't free?
It isn't free here. Now you have to pay for what you get.
Enjoy your meal. It was a bit tasty, but it was a bit strange.
From the amount of food on his plate, that must be Oliver from the programming team. Amazing what folks will do to get a good meal.
What to do?
Yep.
Oh, what? Okay, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
For the amount of food on his plate. Yep.
Yes. And that's because Oliver could eat a lot. Yep.
It seems to be listening. And answers, "Mafimtish, Effendi." She stares at you. You guess she doesn't understand your language.
You can kind of get free meals if you never change your money. She just charges it to your room. Okay.
And there we have, if you have need of magic, I should be honored to serve you, Krisha. Pushes spells of positivity. Visit the apothecary. Laws of...
Thou shalt harm none. Thou shalt not use magic upon the streets of Tarna. Thou shalt not take that which is not thine. Thou shalt behave with honor.
Gonna watch that flirting, in other words.
You need it? You got it. See us in the bazaar, the newly used emporium of irregular antiques and interesting items.
And of course, in adventure game, you know, you pick up anything that isn't nailed down, so clearly you have to get everything from there. Are we going to go to our room first, or save the game first?
I think you go to the room and save the game there. Makes more sense.
First room on the right.
Thou shalt
begin.
behave with humor.
All right. so this is save. Wizard. Yep. Wizard. End of day 1. At the end. I was going to say rumors of war, but you don't really need to.
This game's not having a proper adventure guild is unfortunate. No change to sign with our flourish. Yes. Yeah.
The chest is empty.
It could have had an adventurers guild. It just didn't seem like it here, but I could see it nowadays. I could put one here.
We have 19 spim rations. We used one. And some dried meat. Not sure what animals came from, but it looks like turkey now.
Yeah.
We have 178 royals and 70 commons left.
Okay. So, that was our first day in this game.
And if we could remember what the command is for the time of day, then it's getting on towards sunset.
Yep. Well, Quest for Glory 4 doesn't have an adventure guild either. I mean, it does, but, well, yeah. I wonder if Lion Tars are adventurous enough to be on their own, on their side of the city. I doubt it, though. No. They tend to be home buddies in this sense. They don't go out a lot.
The quit message is Buana Split. Play on Banana Split and Buana from, safaris and such.
Yes.
Yeah, webcam.
Yes. So, at any rate.
That is our first session of Quest for Glory 3.
Yes, with all the trivia we could pack into it.
And all the different intros.
Yes. We'll try to do that again if we have any big change points. Since, after all...
Now, there was no intro for the Paladin. Because, although you could become a Paladin in Game 2, you could only be a Paladin here if you import a Paladin.
Yep. And you didn't have a Paladin ending anyway. There was no difference between you and the Warrior or the Thief or...
Whatever you had.
Yes. I could see Simba running a Tarnan Adventures Guild in the future.
When he gets a little bigger.
Yeah, when he gets older. But he has to do some adventuring first, But
can't be an Adventurers Guild leader unless you're a retired adventurer.
Yep. Let's see.
You don't have time to be an active adventurer.
Yeah. No. But, I mean, the famous explorer clearly has been here. He could have started one.
So we will see all of you in, or some of you in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Which will be 14th of June.
Right.
Starting at 2 p.m. Pacific time.
And we will be, again, in the middle of summer playing the summer game.
So that's why we chose this time of the year to do Quest for Glory 3 is because this game represents summer.
Dad bod is now following. Thank you very much.
Thank
we appreciate that. We really do.
Yeah, I just answered a question for Jason Michaels doing the book Questing for Glory, which will be out sometime, but the book is done. He's just gotten approval for it and has a publisher, a major publisher, and it will be announced eventually. And it is a lot of the things that we tell here.
It's anecdotes and stories.
Our personal backstories and the stories of the games, Quest for Glory and Who Are You.
So if you ever wanted to know more than you ever wanted to know, then you can read that book.
Anyway, he asked the question.
Yes, I didn't realize this was a regular thing. I'll have to come back in and watch more next time. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we'd like to do it every week, but we don't want to give up all of our Saturdays to it.
You're right, so
we give up half our Saturdays.
But we enjoy doing this. We enjoy talking to you and seeing people, even if it is virtual. But that's our world. And we really appreciate you joining us here and going through these things.
Anyway, I had a point there. Jason asked the question, is overarching themes to the games in the series, and what did we do to connect the games? So obviously the fact that you're the same hero going through all of them is a connection, but we tried to give each game several elements of background things. So each one is set in a particular season of the year. Each of them represents one of the alchemical elements. and a couple other things. Oh, north, south, east, and west calendar
Yeah.
points. And of course, that was all designed when we were only going to have 4 points, and there were 4 of each of those, so it all worked out. So this one is kind of a deviation, but it is certainly a game set in North Africa and East Africa, so that it East Africana.
It's east.
So obviously is a summer type game. It is hot there.
Yep. Although
on the other
technically
hand,
it probably isn't.
The real summer game, of course, is Quest for Glory 2, Trial by Fire.
This is close to the equator. It's very close to the equator. It does not have a lot of seasons, at any rate. That's for sure.
So that is all for now, and we will be back
Seasons, elements, and cardinal directions. So presumably wages is monsoon.
Quintessence and Central.
Ah, well. Other than the fact it is.
There you have it from an authority. And clearly that is what we had in mind when we wrote the game.
Yeah.
Or more likely that we didn't think of it at all, and by then we'd largely abandoned the whole thing.
Yes, we did, but it was good enough to these are metaphors that help us design these games, to have these things underneath.
Because there's always, what kind of puzzles, what kind of story, what kind of characters are going to be in it.
We want to give this thing, the real world feel.
So we start with a setting, and with a game concept, in this case, mixed adventure and role-playing.
A theme.
And then we come up with a theme, and then from that we say, okay, what kind of characters fit that theme? Because Laurie's really into the dialogue. And then we talk about puzzles, which are how can you help those characters? What are your actions going to be? What things can you do? And eventually it turns into a game. The rest of it's magic.
Yep. And
Alrighty.
a lot of hard work on a lot of people's parts.
Oh, yeah, not just us, yes. It's all about the team. So we will bid you adieu for another 2 weeks. We will be back, as I said, on the 14th of June.
Where we will continue the Wages of War.
And I was going to say same bat time, same bat channel, same bat, but this is the bats have their game 4. So.
Yes, so next time. Next time when we get around to finally...
Same Liontar place, same Liontar time.
And we can complain about how people are not just in these worlds.
And I will click it myself and say goodbye.
Bye-bye.